Number 26. James stepped into the mental institution, instructions in hand. He didn't expect this ridiculous ritual to work at all, but after all, the only thing he had to risk was an hour's wasted time and maybe a little embarrassment. He approached the woman working at the reception desk and asked in a quiet whisper if he could visit the one who calls himself the Holder of Perspective. What happened next surprised him a little. The receptionist nodded her head solemnly, just as the instructions said she would. Okay, he thought. Apparently I'm not the first one to pull something like this. Chances are she read these things and was just playing along. Maybe she'll lead me back to a break room or whatever, just so she can show off to her coworkers the latest idiot who walked in asking for something stupid. Let them all have a good laugh. God, why did I think this would have the slightest chance of working? His rambling, self-deredating thoughts were silenced, however. Once she unlocked the chain double doors, he saw the long, narrow stairs leading up far higher than the building should have physically allowed. Holy shit. These things are actually real. James ascended the stairs with caution. As expected, once he reached a certain height, he began to see images projected on the walls. They were the largest and deadliest disasters of humankind. The destruction of Pompeii, the ravages of the Black Plague, the Holocaust, 9/11. The images showed these tragedies through the eyes of each and every victim. It was all James could do to prevent being consumed by sorrow and grief, but he knew well the price of letting himself succumb to despair. Besides, beyond the wildest expectations, he'd already made it this far. He couldn't let himself fail now. After a long and tiring climb, he finally made it to the top of the stairs, where an ornate marble wall with several tiny, eye-shaped glass windows awaited. He remembered his instructions and put his left eye into the window with a perfectly vertical crack running down the middle. In an instant, his viewpoint shifted from his own body to that of an ancient man in an oval stone chamber. The man was using his slender, bony fingers to trace patterns over the large glass eye. James felt his grasp on his own mind weakening, so before he lost his mind completely, he thought as hard as he could, how will they see the end? In an instant, thousands of images started flashing before his eyes. They were images of the same scenes he'd viewed in the hallway, only this time they were from the eyes of outside observers. Feelings of apathy, grief, and joy flooded him all at once. The last image he saw was an endless inferno. At this, there was no emotion other than sheer unbridled horror. Already physically and mentally drained from the journey up to this point, James could no longer handle the strain and collapsed where he stood. Ah, another poor seeker who couldn't handle his visions. Very few have the mental strength for it, you see. And for good reason. No ordinary person was ever meant to witness the vision of the end, and certainly not an amateur like that one. I'll dispose of his body, and place his soul inside my glass eye, where he will join the thousands of others who've failed. My glass eye is object 26 of 538. It awaits someone capable of viewing the world through their perspective. Number 27. In any city, in any country, go to a hospital at night and ask the head nurse to see the Holder of Sleep. She will ignore you and say she has work to do. Ask twice more without stammering and she will sigh as if weary. She will ask you if you're sure. If you answer no, you'll wake up the next day fully rested and free from any chains. If you answer yes, she will guide you to an empty room and tell you to sleep. When you awaken, you will be on a stone table at the beginning of a hallway. As you walk down the hall, you'll begin to feel drowsy. You must resist sleep here, for you will slumber eternally. If you make it to the end of this hallway, you'll find a door. Open this and find the Holder of Sleep. You will see a wizened old man sleeping peacefully. Tread lightly, for he does not like to be disturbed. Do not look under his bed, for there lies death, and it will pull you under to be tormented forever. Walk quietly up to the bed and whisper in his ear, "Why do they never rest?" until he wakes up and tells you the story of how they chained their slumber onto him. Then he'll invite you to sit with him. Do so, else he will chain their slumber onto you and you will never truly be awake again. After sitting with him, he will pull a small crystal with inner light from his nightgown. He will then push it deep into your chest. If you can ignore the pain, he'll fall back into his slumber. If you cry out, you shall replace him in his tortured slumber. Return to the stone table and sleep again. You will find yourself outside the hospital after waking up. The crystal is object 27 of 538. You no longer need sleep. Pray your nightmares do not follow you out. Number 28. In any city, in any country, go to any mental institution or halfway house you can get yourself to. When you reach the front desk, ask to visit someone who calls himself the Holder of Clarity. The worker will begin to chatter on about their life, making inside jokes and references which only they understand. All the while, they'll walk in a weaving motion to the recreational area of the building. They will slide open a hatch beneath a table and suddenly fall silent with a grim look upon their face. You will look down into the hole, and you will see a vast number of lights flashing on and off, and you will feel berated and confused, but you must go on. This hall seems to have no start and no end, the lights flashing sporadically, and you will find that tiny flying objects flint in front of you, in your eyes, nose, and mouth. The air will fill with a horrible, all-consuming buzzing noise that does not allow you to hear even your own screams. You must only walk on, and if for any reason the objects stop moving or the lights hold their glow, you must yell out, "They shall not know I am here, as I have covered my tracks." If the calm stays, you're too late, and it has already begun. If the horrible bewilderment returns, you must forge on. In your wanderings, you will meet a door. You can feel its handle and allow yourself in. The room will be eternal, only the floor holding your mind intact. There will be a man whose entire form is ran through with long nails and stakes, each inch of his body secured. His mouth is held open, pins forcing his lips up to his face, a stake buried in the back of his gaping mouth. His tongue will writhe and flop as you arrive, his eyes searching over you in a panicked state. He will respond only to one question: why do they take form? His eyes will affix to you, and his tongue will hold still. In a gargling, horrible speech, he will recite to you the creation of every object and the purpose of each. The description will force you to vomit upon every sentence, and the tale leaves most mad. You'll find a rusty and worn fillet knife in your hand. You must remove his writhing tongue with his pathetic and gargling screams echoing through your soul. He will seem pathetic and you'll want to help him, but don't, or you will replace him. His tongue is object 28 of 538. They will meet, only you shall know why. Number 29. In any city and any country, go to any mental institution or halfway house you can get yourself to. When you reach the front desk, ask to meet someone who calls himself the Holder of the Frost. If the worker shivers unnaturally, you will be led to a hallway that shouldn't exist where it does. The worker will wave you down the hall, and, once your back is turned, will shake his head and mutter, "The poor fool." The hallway will get colder as you proceed, but do not make any attempt to warm yourself. If you do, heaven help what will become of you. If at any time the cold ceases and the hallway becomes warm, you must cease walking quickly and shout, "Stop, this is not the answer." If the warm persists, run. Run as fast as you can for the exit. If you do not make it, then the fires of hell will consume you. If you do make it, do not stop running. Flee the asylum, the city, the country, for the hellhounds have your scent, and they do not rest. If the cold returns, proceed down the hallway until you come to a door made of solid ice. Knock 3 times. If a soft, womanly voice beckons you to enter, open the door. If a gruff male voice tells you to leave, pray for a quick demise. Inside the door, you will find a room made of ice, the frozen stalagmites and stalactites giving it the appearance of a massive maw. In the center of the room will be a veiled, ivory-skinned woman. Do not look at the woman directly, and say only one thing: what causes their hibernation. She will tell you her story, a story of destruction and devastation, war and famine, life and death, and of a deep slumber. The story will chill you to the base of your existence, but do not ever look directly at the woman. If you do, your soul will be frozen for all eternity. When she's done, she will remove her veil, but do not gaze upon her. Her beauty would shatter your mind. If you kept your eyes away from her, she will cup her hands around yours and whisper in your ear, "The Ice Age is over. What will you do?" The world will explode into white, and when it subsides, you will be outside the institution. In your hands will be a large crystal snowflake. That snowflake is Object 29 of 538. The Ice Age is over. They're starting to thaw. Number 30. In any city, in any country, go to any mental institution or halfway house you can get yourself to. When you reach the front desk, ask to visit someone who calls himself the Holder of the Flame. The worker will stare impassively at you for many minutes before pointing silently to a door behind you. The door was not there before, and anyone else around you will not notice it. Approach the door and close your eyes before grasping the knocker. You need knock only once. If the metal suddenly cools in your hand, run. Run far away and keep running. Only hope that you have escaped, for the alternative is a horror only the souls in hell can comprehend. If the knocker grows warm, hold on to it tightly, even when it begins to sear into your hand. Eventually, the pain will stop. Once this has happened, open your eyes. You'll be in a small garden, illuminated by the light of the full moon, surrounded by ivory-covered stone walls. To your left will be a pond. Do not look directly into the water, lest the multitude of terrors lurking within capture and drown you again and again for the rest of eternity. To your right will be a funeral pyre, not yet lit, slickly dark with a flammable fluid. Take exactly 5 steps toward the pyre. Do not ask why. You'll find the corpse of a castrated male child, his arms folded over a vial of quicksilver. Say nothing but this question: what causes their immolation? The corpse will not move, but the pyre will ignite on its own free will, as will the bushes and grass and trees and flowers all around it. The flames will shift colors from a normal color of fire to the red of fleshy spilt blood, to the green of infection and disease. The plants will shriek in agony as the walls surrounding the garden are consumed. The pond will dry out, the water itself burning with the blistering heat, as the souls of the damned rise upwards in a stream, howling their litany of curses upon you. As the first curse reaches your ears, you must summon your courage and begin to laugh, loudly, spitefully, arrogantly, but not softly. If the curses become more vehement, you're safe. If they stop, then throw yourself on the pyre to escape the fate far worse. In the midst of the tempest, the corpse will calmly sit upright, consumed entirely in flames, and will prefer the vial. You must continue to laugh and cross your arms. You must not accept this gift now. The corpse will open its mouth, and if you're lucky, what you see in its depths will not leave you laughing in madness for the rest of your mortal life. The vial will drop, shatter, and spill its contents upon the blackened remains of the grass as the flames die down. Everything will be silent. At your feet will be a new flower, its stem hard and pointy, its petals painted with the colors of the hellfire and damnation. Pick it, and you will find yourself away from the garden and back in the front of the door. The flower is Object 30 of 538. It will burn itself into your very soul and ignite the fires of madness.